Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. Jermaine Jackson is the latest celebrity to be hit with an SA lawsuit. In a new suit which was filed this week in a Los Angeles court, a woman named Rita Barrett submitted paperwork under California's SA and Cover-Up Accountability Act to sue now 69-year-old Jermaine and his subsidiary companies, Jermaine L. Jackson Music Productions Incorporated and Work Records Incorporated. Similar to New York's Adult Survivors Act, which hemmed up the likes of P. Diddy, Harv Pierre, Aaron Hall, L.A. Reid, and Jamie Foxx, the SA Abuse and Cover-Up Act in California extends the limit that survivors of SA have to sue their alleged abusers until December 31st, 2026. Under the law, survivors can file civil claims in hopes of recovering damages suffered as a result of SA that occurred in the past that would otherwise be barred solely because of the 10-year statute of limitations. Now, in her lawsuit by way of her attorneys, Rita alleges that Jermaine SA'd her, battered her, assaulted her, harassed her, and R'd her in or around the spring of 1988. According to Rita Barrett, she knew Jermaine Jackson for several years before the alleged assault took place because she worked as a musician's contractor. And I know, nobody knows what that is, but we're all gonna have to just take her word for it. And her husband, Ben Barrett, also had a working relationship with Motown Records founder Berry Gordy, who had a relationship with Jermaine during the time that the alleged assault took place. The suit alleges that one day in the spring of 1988, Jermaine arrived at her house unannounced and forced his way inside. Once inside her crib, he SA'd her using brute force and violence. Then, once his carnal urges were satiated, he just upped and left. Rita also said that during the awful event, all she could do was pray to God for help because she's a woman of faith and she feared for her life. Now, still taken aback from the attack, Rita says that she got up the very next day and reported the assault to Berry Gordy. But she says that instead of helping her and taking action, Berry allegedly concealed Jermaine's crime. The lawsuit states, quote, because of his relationship with both defendant Jackson and plaintiff's family, Mr. Gordy was uniquely situated to both report defendant Jackson's acts and to aid plaintiff during her time of trauma. Instead, Mr. Gordy withheld and concealed the acts, further perpetuating the cover-up and allowing Mr. Gordy, defendant Jackson, and others in the business relationship to continue to reap the profits derived from Mr. Jackson's work and reputation for years to come. End quote. Okay, let's stop right here for a second because there's a whole lot going on and there's a whole lot to unpack. Okay, so let's start here. According to a psychotherapist who has specialized in working with SA survivors for over 40 years, there are many reasons why women don't report harassment and sexual assault right away, including denial and minimization, which means many women refuse to believe that the treatment that they endured was actually abusive. Therefore, they downplay how much they've been harmed by the sexual harassment and even the sexual assault. 2. Fear of the consequences. Many people who have been attacked often fear that if they bring the information to the forefront, they might lose their job, not be able to find another job, be passed over for a promotion, or be branded as a troublemaker. 3. Fear that they won't be believed. According to statistics, SA is the most underreported crime because victims' accounts are often scrutinized to the point of exhaustion, and there's been a long history of women and men not being believed. Listen, this right here is so true, especially when it comes to black women, because I personally know a woman who was attacked, and she went to the police department the very next day, and when she got there, you know what they told her? They were like, what do you want us to do about it? If it happens again, come back and let us know. So, in addition to being violated the first time, she was violated again by the police. And you know what happened? She just shut down and turned to the bottle. Now, in addition to the fear that you won't be believed, some people don't report the crime because of shame. According to psychologists, shame is at the core of the intense emotional wounding women and men experience when they've been violated. Abuse, by its very nature, is humiliating and dehumanizing. The victim often feels invaded and defiled, while simultaneously experiencing the indignity of being helpless and at the mercy of another person. Therefore, this sense of shame often causes victims to blame themselves for the misconduct of the perpetrator. So, as you can see, there's many reasons why a woman or a man might not come out and say something right away. But that doesn't mean that something didn't happen. And I'm so sick and tired of people on the internet being like, yo, how come she ain't say nothing right away? Or why does she wait this long to say something? Listen, go to the library, get yourself a library card, and go read a psychology book. And if you don't like psychology books, go pick up Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And what you're going to learn is that sometimes people respond differently when they go through things. Now, with that being said, and having a full adult understanding that sometimes people don't report for different reasons, I still have a problem with this chick's claim against Jermaine. And that's because of this. Why in the world would you feel comfortable going to bury Gordy with the expectation that he was supposed to report the SA to the authorities instead of just going to the authorities? Why in the world would you think that it was Berry Gordy's responsibility to report the fact that you got assaulted by Jermaine Jackson, who was not only one of his most valuable artists, but also his son-in-law? I mean, the same way that Berry Gordy could have pressed 911, you could have pressed 911. Anyways, back to the story. The lawsuit continues on to say that Barrett has suffered severe emotional, physical, and psychological injury, including humiliation, shame, guilt, economic loss, economic capacity, and permanent emotional distress after her interaction with Jackson. In a statement, Barrett's attorney Jeff Anderson also said that his client has suffered an egregious and violent SA. And he also said this is about her power in the declaration of it when she learned that something could be done under the law, and she found the strength and support to find us, and is now standing up for herself and others. Now, with regard to the lawsuit, it's important to know that neither Jackson, who's 69, or Gordy, who's like 94, could be reached for comment. Alright, so here's the thing. Mad people are saying, hell nah, why she wait damn near 35 years to go after Jermaine? Well, technically, she has not waited 35 years, because you have to remember that due to the statute of limitations, after that first 10 years was up, there was really nothing that she could do about it till now. So going to the police any time between 1998 and now would have served absolutely no purpose legally. So that's like saying, how come Alexander Graham Bell just didn't use a cell phone to make phone calls? He didn't use a cell phone to make phone calls because the option wasn't available until now. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, a whole lot of people like Willie D, whose commentary I just love, even though I don't always agree with it, are saying all of these lawsuits against these men have got to stop because it's unfair for these men to be accused of SA without any evidence. Check this out.
Family, 1988, come on now. Let's do the math. 1988, that's 35 years. 35 years ago, a woman is now coming forward saying that Jermaine Jackson, in fact, she's saying that Jermaine Jackson sexually assaulted her. Family, I'm going to say it again. I've said it many times. I am all for a person getting justice if they have been harmed. Justice denied is one of the greatest tragedies in the world. However, at what point do the person who says I've been violated, at what point are they supposed to come forward and say, I've been violated. Seems like to me, man, it has to be some type of statute of limitations. But let's just say it ain't. It ain't gonna be a statute of limitations. It's no statute of limitations. So now, what about evidence? So let's just say if y'all don't want statute of limitations, there is no statute of limitations. How about some evidence? If you can bring some evidence, I think that should be the only excuse for waiting 3 decades to accuse somebody. In fact, if you accuse somebody after a certain amount of time, that's slander. And you should be held liable for slandering that person's name.
Listen, I hear what Willie D is saying, but here's the thing that everybody seems to be forgetting. We have a statute of limitations, but due to the fact that data shows that most people don't report their essays right away, they've added these exemptions to give those people a chance to get the justice that they deserve and that they couldn't get before because of the law. Because now we have a better understanding that some people are not ready to talk in the first 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, or even 20 years. And if these dudes that are accused don't settle like Diddy and they take their cases to court, these women will have to furnish evidence. And that means in Jermaine's case, if this chick cannot prove that there's some Jerry curl juice on that pillowcase or those bed sheets, a jury should find Jermaine not guilty. It's just as simple as that. Now, realistically, after 35 years, will this chick be able to furnish the Monica Lewinsky type dress with Jermaine's Jerry curl juice all on it? Most likely not. But then you gotta rely on circumstantial evidence and witnesses. But that's how any court case works. So that's not the issue. The issue is this. In the court of public opinion, in which social media jurors render their own decisions based on limited circumstantial evidence, people seem to believe that these ninjas are guilty until proven innocent instead of being innocent until proven guilty. And they think that just because an allegation was made and some paperwork was filed, the defendant is automatically guilty. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. Alright, so with that being said, this case against Jermaine Jackson could go either way, because there are some pros that are working in Jermaine's favor, but there are also some cons that are working against him. For instance, some of the pros for Jermaine are these. Some of you may not remember, but back in the 70s into the early 80s, Jermaine was the man, and most chicks were checking for Jermaine because even though Michael was cute and he had the voice and he could dance, he was too young to be a sex symbol. So chicks were throwing themselves at Jermaine and Jackie Jackson like crazy. I mean, Jermaine could walk past a chick and she would literally faint. So Jermaine basically had the pick of the litter because chicks were mesmerized by his angelic voice, Colgate smile, and curly Farrah Fawcett afro, which looked like he said it with those big pink plastic rollers with the sponge in the middle that we used to use back in the day. Therefore, because Jermaine Jackson never suffered from any shortage of women, why in the world would he have to force himself on anybody? And I know, somebody's gonna come in the comment section like, Sauce, but that's not what like assault is about. Assault is about power. I know, but this is simply an argument that one could make. Another pro that's working in Jermaine's favor is that in 1988, even though he had the Jerry curl, Jermaine also released Don't Take It Personal, which had reinvigorated his appeal after years of taking a backseat to Michael. So Jermaine was out there working again, which brings us to like the last pro. Jermaine Jackson and the Jacksons work so much and travel abroad so often that if this chick's dates and times don't add up, Jermaine is off the hook. For example, his brother Michael had over 100 tour dates in Europe in '88. So, if she says that Jermaine assaulted her on a specific date, and we find some footage that shows Jermaine Jackson at like one of Michael's concerts, dressed up like a sparkly sequins covered soldier in jeggings, we gonna know that this chick is lying. Now, on to the cons. Over the years, Jermaine Jackson has been a very naughty boy when it comes to his relationships, starting all the way back with his first marriage. On December 15, 1973, Jermaine married Berry Gordy's daughter Hazel when he was just 19. The couple had 3 kids together, but they separated in 1988, shortly after Jermaine cheated on Hazel and got another woman named Margaret Maldonado pregnant while Hazel was pregnant with their 3rd child. Now, it has also been alleged, but corroborated by LaToya Jackson, that Jermaine Jackson also cheated on Hazel with Whitney Houston, and that he started a relationship with her in 1984.
In 84, Jermaine and Whitney did work together, and that was the beginning of her career, basically, and Jermaine was right there with her. And sometimes when you work close with someone, at least, look at her.
Now, when discussing the fact that Jermaine Jackson wrote a book, and in that book he basically said that him and Whitney Houston were friends and that he simply had a crush on Whitney, LaToya had this to say.
I think that Jermaine wrote that in his book to protect Whitney at that particular time because, she was alive, she's no longer with us, and he has admitted that they've had an affair.
But he was married at the time. She was single, and he's now married, but not to the same woman, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was completely married. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to.
What do you mean you don't know whether he was completely married? He was married to Hazel Gordy until like 87, 88. I'm telling you, these freaking Jacksons. Anyhow, after he separated from Hazel Gordy, he stayed with Margaret Maldonado, who he got with in 1996 until around 1993 or 94. Interestingly enough, when Jermaine broke up with Margaret, she wrote a tell-all book. Now, it's important to know that she also goes by the name Peggy. Alright, so she wrote a tell-all book, and in the book she says that one time Hazel Gordy called her up on the phone and said that Jermaine Jackson tried to awe her. Check out the excerpt from her book.
Jermaine was busy continuing to record 2300 Jackson Street when, in August 1988, an article in People magazine told the world about my pregnancy. Jermaine brought the magazine home to show to Jermaine Jr. and Autumn, who had come to Havenhurst for a visit. At the end of the day, their father put them in the car and left to return them to Hazel. By this time, she was living in a large house her father had gotten for her. That evening, Jermaine and I had planned on going out to dinner with my stepfather, Cy. I was excited about seeing him again. After a while, though, I became nervous because Jermaine was late in getting back home. Then the telephone rang. It was Hazel. Jermaine was just here, and he tried to grape me, she said, her voice shaking. What? Was all I could say. I was unwillingly and unable to grasp what I was hearing. I'm not lying, Peggy. People who know me know that I do not lie. And if you don't believe me, look at Jermaine's arm. I bit it, she added. After a long pause, I told Hazel that if what she was saying was true, she should call the police and report it. She did just that. I didn't want to believe Hazel. I didn't want to believe that JJ could attempt to grape his former wife, then go out to dinner with my stepfather and me as if nothing had happened.
Yo, shout out to the Uptown Narob YouTube channel for that excerpt. Listen, what this means is that if Margaret Maldonado, Jermaine Jackson's second wife, is telling the truth, there's a police report out there accusing Jermaine of graping Hazel Gordy. I mean, if that right there is true, that's not gonna bode well for Jermaine, because if they pull that out in like this new court case when he goes to court, he might as well stick a fork in it, cause he's done. Well, anyways, after he left Margaret, he turned around and got with his younger brother Randy's baby mama. Jermaine married Randy's ex, Alejandra Genevieve Ozazia, in like 1995, even though she already had 2 kids with his younger brother Randy, which means that Jermaine's kids with Alexandra, Jafar, Dante, and Your Majesty, and Randy's kids, Genevieve and Randy Jr., are not only first cousins, but they're also half siblings. I mean, how weird is that? When discussing the fact that she got with Jermaine after having 2 kids with Randy, Alejandra said, quote, "Randy didn't treat me like I was the one. I just thought that Jermaine was different, that he was more family oriented." End quote. Listen, all that means is that Randy was a 3 Series BMW and you wanted a 5 Series BMW, which was Jermaine. And like, how is he more family oriented when he would turn around and marry his own brother's baby mama? Alright, so when discussing the fact that Jermaine took his sloppy seconds, Randy said, I could understand if it was Joe Blow down the street, but my brother in the same house? She's a pig and my brother's a fool. Now, for some strange reason, Jermaine Jackson just could not fathom how his little brother Randy would be upset about the fact that he married his baby mama. And when discussing Randy, he said, quote, he needs to get over it and leave all of the petty stuff behind and act like a man, end quote. Okay, somebody needs to tell Jermaine that, that's not petty. Alright, so after getting with Randy's ex, Jermaine eventually stayed with her for a few years, but then he got tired of her and divorced her in November of 2004. Now, just a side note, while Jermaine was married to Alejandra, he also got married to a woman named LaWanda in a local mosque. But the marriage was later annulled because guess what? In the United States, you can't get married when you're already married. Anyhow, just a few months later, Jermaine met Halima Rashid while standing online in a Starbucks, and the two fell in love over the coffee because 5 months later, they got married. Now, in 2010, during the time that they were married, Jermaine went to court and filed a claim saying that he couldn't afford to provide child support payments for his youngest kids. At that time, Jermaine said that his monthly bills were $3,000, but his monthly income was only $1,000. Yo, Jermaine Jackson was up in that court lying his behind off. Cause I'm telling you, there's a lot of guys that can say that their income is only $1,000, but Jermaine Jackson is not one of them. Anyhow, after Jermaine Jackson went to court and claimed that he was a lowly pauper that couldn't afford to make his child support payments, he turned around and after 12 years of marriage, he cheated on Halima too. So Halima was like, look Jermaine, I can't deal with you, I can't deal with all of this hair gel, and I can't deal with all of this cheating. And she finally filed for divorce in June of 2016. But here's the thing, because Halima was handling all of his business affairs, she knew how much Jermaine was really making per month. And she said that his income fluctuates between $50,000 and $500,000 a month, depending on the concert bookings and other business deals. Therefore, she asked the courts to give her $35,000 per month in spousal support. Now, according to reports, Jermaine cheated on Halima with a 23-year-old girl named Medea Velasquez, who was 40 years his junior. And in 2018, Jermaine was running around saying that he was going to marry this chick. But as of today, Jermaine remains single. Okay, so aside from being the type of guy that does whatever he wants whenever he wants to, regardless of the effects that it has on other people, another con when it comes to Jermaine is that for some odd reason, Jermaine seems to think that he's God's gift to women, because when he was talking about his tryst with Whitney Houston, Jermaine allegedly said, she's like Michael, she's messed up on those drugs. You know, I used to wear her A out. I know she'd take me back and get rid of that effing Bobby Brown. Plus, I should get with her before she loses all that money she made. Jermaine allegedly went on to say, I feel it's my duty with Whitney, man. She told me she'd never stop loving me. I can get with her and I should. I just don't know how she'd act having me in the bed instead of Bobby. I might be too much for her, but I'd get her off the drugs. She'd be high, but only on Jermaine. Listen, I've heard it all. I have officially heard it all. But as if that wasn't bad enough, Jermaine also once said that he wanted to quote-unquote bang Nancy Grace. Jermaine said, just one time with that heifer. I bet she won't say anything bad about Michael anymore. She'd just be thinking about her one night with the man, Jermaine. Listen, I can't. Jermaine Jackson is just off the hook. Look, let me know what you think about this chick, Rita Barrett, suing Jermaine Jackson for the essay. Do you think that there's any legitimacy to the case? Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And share this video with your friends. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celebrity news. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.